Well, it is a chapter in our history we'd rather forget. The Cronulla riots, fuelled by hot weather, alcohol and angry protesters. Right in the middle of it was Police Commander Mark Goodwin. And 20 years on, he says it could have ended so much worse.
It's one of the ugliest chapters in Australia's history.
Even now, ever since that day, every time the word racism is mentioned in Australia, it raises its ugly head again.
December 11, 2005, a day we as a nation should be ashamed of.
It was the biggest police operation, as it turned out, not just the daytime events, but the revenge attacks that followed and the intensity of the political and media interest in it.
When the race riots erupted at Sydney's Cronulla Beach, then Assistant Commissioner Mark Goodwin was the police commander. There's much to this story that's never been revealed.
It's something that is very unknown to the public, this part of the Cronulla riots. There were some fairly hardcore right-wing extremists in that crowd there.
Tensions in the area have been simmering for months, with groups of young Middle Eastern men from Sydney's southwest travelling to Cronulla Beach.
So I need to make a very strong point that the ones that were causing trouble down here were little gangsters that were well known by the police in their own area, who were escaping probably police attention on a weekend, coming to the Cronulla area because they were so well known in their own area. And they were coming out to Cronulla, and there were some very, very offensive comments to young women.
For decades, Cronulla had been a favourite of gangs. It's the only beach on a train line.
However, this time it became, instead of F-off Bankies or Westies or Sharpies or Rockers or whatever, this was F-off Lebs. And instantly that became labelled and badged as racist.
When 2 Cronulla lifeguards were assaulted and hospitalised, locals were incensed.
Now, like any riots around the world, there's always a flashpoint, and that flashpoint was an assault on the lifeguards by some of these young Lebanese men from the western suburbs.
Cronulla Beach became global news. Goodwin says the anger was fuelled by a media firestorm.
Australia's old and new. Shouldn't have to put up with this scum.
And it was literally blown out of proportion at that point, and that's when the hundreds of thousands of texts started circulating about reclaiming the beach and stuff.
It began as a day of protest, but the hot weather mixed with alcohol was a cocktail for disaster.
On a hot summer, balmy day, what could possibly go wrong, Tom?
Everything.
Everything. The thing that kicked a lot of the people off was chanting in the crowd, but that was started by right-wing patriots that had turned up.
Cronulla train station, the violence went next level.
We very quickly found out that this rumour had gone around the crowd that there was all this mob coming from the western suburbs.
The crowd was on the move, baying for blood. In reality, there were only 2 young Middle Eastern men on that train.
And they were viciously set upon by a group on that train.
By day's end, the marauding crowds dispersed, but it was far from the end of the story.
I well knew the possible retaliatory attacks and what might occur.
TV news bulletin footage inadvertently fuelled the fire.
It made it look like a 5,000-strong crowd had attacked the Lebanese community.
Goodwin believes that sparked what came next.
The revenge attack started, and they built up to a point where it went on for weeks. The violence that was exhibited and the police dealt with was probably, I'd say, at least 10 times, possibly up to 100 times worse than anything that occurred on the day at Cronulla.
Goodwin describes it as mobile rioting.
And we had groups of up to 50 carloads of young men who were rampaging through suburbs. We had roadblocks and we had suburbs shut down, and we literally took off the street truckloads of weapons, from cars and people. And we're talking baseball bats, knives, guns. And I remember seeing a picture that was shown by some of the operational police of a billiard leg table that would have had 100 nails sticking out the end of it.
beachside suburbs were targeted.
These were short, sharp, intense visits to suburbs and just trashing entire suburbs, of smashing windows, stabbing people and baseball batting people, and then they're out again.
I interviewed a victim of one of the attacks. Steve was set upon by up to 20 men.
Angry, very angry. Because I could remember thinking when I actually thought I was going to die, so I remember getting hit in the head about 20 times and just covering up, and I looked up and I said, stop, please stop, and ultimate anger, just consumed by anger, and there was just no way they're going to stop.
Crates of Molotov cocktails were seized. Police learned of plans for mass attacks at Sydney shopping centres.
We had very strong information and intelligence that there was going to be a drive-by shooting and a hand grenade thrown into the beer garden the following weekend at Northies, which is the popular hotel at North Cronulla.
New emergency lockdown legislation and specialised rapid response teams made up of riot police and highway patrol eventually gained the upper hand. But police were worried Christmas, New Year's Eve and Australia Day could become flashpoints.
So this operation went on virtually the whole of the summer. And it's remarkable that it didn't escalate to even worse than what it was.
Goodwin and then Police Minister Carl Scully have set the record straight with this book.
We've had even academics write it up, and it's all in the school curriculum and it's everywhere, and it's all the white racist bogans of the Cronulla area. There's nothing to do with the revenge attacks. There's nothing to do with the build-up to it, which is really the whole of the egg, or the whole circumstances and the big picture.
But Cronulla, Goodwin says, still wears the stigma.
The issues that the police were dealing with were off the Richter scale like I have never seen in my police career.